The job of a sports agent has been in the public interest ever since Jerry Maguire debuted in theaters over 20 years ago. There are many moving pieces on the business side of athletics, and a lot of untold stories agents have from what happens behind the curtains. This is a pre-draft episode of The Road. Leading up to the NHL Entry Draft in Chicago, 5 well-known agents sat down to share some untold stories from the event over the years.
I got a story. I'll just start off with a story.
Look right in the camera.
Yeah.
Don't look at your toes.
All right, so one of my first drafts, I had a player who was ranked to go somewhere in the middle of the first round. And around number 14, 15, he leans over to me and he says, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I'm like, you can't go anywhere. Like, you're now in the wheelhouse, you're on deck. You can't go anywhere. You imagine getting drafted in the first round on national TV and they put the camera on an empty seat? So he's like, okay. We're at number 21, he still has a gun and he's sitting in his seat. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, you can't go anywhere. You can't, you gotta just sit here and hang out. He's like, oh, I'm gonna die. He's sweating and people are watching him. They think like he must be really nervous, you know? And he's like swimming around. We're at like number 27. He's like, I'm not gonna make it. I'm like, just hang in there, you're almost there. We get to 30. He's not drafted, and in those days, we did the whole draft in one day. All right, at number 30, the guy's still walking up to the stage. He bolts up the stairs, gone. And I told him before he left, you know, they're gonna take a 10-minute break, and then they're gonna start into the second round. You're gonna go, you should go like really like top of the second round, come back. 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by, Jim Gregory's up on the stage calling everyone to order. They're starting the second round. Number 31, number 32, number 33. I'm still sitting next to an empty seat. He gets drafted, 33. And his parents are there, he's gone. All of a sudden I look up at the stairwell and he's standing there with a hot dog and he's going, yeah!
That's good. That's awesome. How about the year in Minnesota when Octagon had
1, 2, 3? Yeah, all 3 leagues in the CHL, West, the Ontario League, and the Quebec League.
Yep.
Let's talk about that year. So who were the top 3?
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Number 1.
Gabriel Landeskog.
Number 2.
And Jonathan Huberdeau.
Bam. That's a big day for Octagon. And the boys, the 3 boys, they all 3 signed big endorsement deals that day too, or soon after.
Right, CCM.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. Had a joint press conference.
What I remember about that was Walsh was talking about Huberdeau, and he's gonna, you know, this kid's a player. And Norm, you know, he's a gym dandy, right? So Norm was high on him, and the first scouting report comes out in November. They had him 83rd overall.
Jonathan.
Hey, Alan, did you see this? No, don't worry about that guy. Doesn't like me. Another one. He went from 83 to 3 in 4 months. That's a good year.
We had a big defenseman that was 6'4", was getting interviewed by a team out west in the combine, and they challenged him and said, how come every time in front of the net there's any kind of confrontation to protect your goalie and you look down? Every time there's a skirmish or anyone challenges you, you look down. Are you scared? What's wrong with you? You don't fight? You don't play tough? And the kid started crying. He went the first round. No, but he did go fairly high. He did go high. He had an NHL career.
Yeah. He started crying.
Yeah. Because the team at the time had a really knucklehead, hard-nosed coach. And it happened to be a hard-nosed, kind of executive with the team, too, that was known for grilling the guys hard, just to see if they were ready. What was great with these combine interviews for the draft is the players, they do have to be themselves. And the greatest example was when Keith Ballard was drafted. Keith Ballard, he was a 5'10", 5'11" defenseman before sub 6 foot defenseman played in the NHL.
Yeah.
So we found out a nugget of information that we thought was really important in a very twisted way. So he played for the Omaha Lancers in the USHL, and he had gotten in 8 fights with his own teammates in practice that season.
He's an angry young man.
And this is a under 6 foot defenseman trying to fight his way to the NHL. And we, talked to the teams about that and made sure that got out in every interview he had. And he sat at the edge of his seat. He looked them in the eyes when he shook their hands. And he basically convinced him, we want this kid on our team, not playing against them. And part of the reason was, fighting 8 guys, that's how competitive he was. Right. He did what he had to do. And he was well liked. He was a captain of the team, very well respected. The coach loved him, but he happened to get in 8 fights during the season.
But it wasn't staged. It wasn't something that he, contrived. It's just who he was. He was just that competitive.
Heat of the moment.
Yeah, and it was good information, to disseminate because sub 6 foot defensemen, they just didn't think they could play, at that time, right? And even if they're super skilled, right?
Yeah.
And that was. I asked the general manager at that point, can sub 6 play? No. Well, maybe if they're super skilled, right? Well, sure, right? Because there's always been super skilled, like Ray Bork that could play. It was anywhere near 6 feet tall.
I had a player drafted in the top 5. And after a player gets drafted, they go up to the suite. Well, he went up there with his mom and dad. He brought his uncles and aunts and grandparents, and they all went up to the suite. And I'm sitting there in the 3rd round, and my cell phone's buzzing from a weird phone number. I answer the phone, Allan Walsh? Yeah. Yeah, we're up in the suite with your client and his whole family. I'm like, yeah. We have a major problem up here. I'm like, what's the matter? They drank all the beer. And they want more.
That was the problem.
That was the problem. They want more. How about we had a guy a few years back, he since has had a long NHL career, this player, get drafted in the first half of the first round, but before the team picked him, I turned to him. Remember, he just told us a story the other day? And I said, you don't want to get picked by this team. Unless it's right now. And they picked him.
Unless it's right now.
That's an important qualifier.
Remember when Pittsburgh took Jake Gensel in the 3rd round, and Pittsburgh, the scout, Scott Bell, his first year at the draft, first year on the job with the Pittsburgh Penguins in scouting, and he stepped up and the pick before the Islanders picked from the USHL, the same league, he thought Jake Gensel was gone, and they took another player who hasn't really performed even close to still in college last year and hasn't signed yet. And Jake Gensel went in the next round, and then they interviewed him around the table or at the draft, and Scott Bell was so proud that they got this Jake Gensel, and everyone in the organization was, we just took this kid, he's scrawny,
He looked like he was 10.
he's small, he's weak, and just goes to show, he's playing at 170 pounds in the NHL and just happens to lead the whole NHL in points, I believe, in the playoffs.
Goals.
Yeah.
Goals.
That's where I do think the interview is important. Not so much for the, yes, for the players, but for the clubs to really try to understand who these kids are. And so many of them fall into that generic, you can just imagine how many kids that they're interviewing. It's the same, how many different twists on a question can you throw at it? But, they're just, some kids have an authenticity or sincerity or this determination that just comes out, and you got to latch onto that.
It was the start of a very busy week for these agents, meeting with players, their families, and NHL teams before the future of their franchises are determined at the 2017 NHL Draft. The fate of these eager prospects will be revealed in our final episode of the season. This is The Road.